Thank you, Evan. Hello, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful time at AGU this year. I'm Trang, and I'm a research scientist working for Bingham Research Center, Utah State University. Um, I'm glad to be here to share with you the fresh result from our emission detection surveys conducted earlier this year. First of all, I would like to acknowledge my colleague, Dr. Lyman. He's here with us today. Dr. Mansfield and Dr. Ravi Kumar, our chair session today. Okay, so firstly, I'd like to introduce to you about Uinta Basin, its emission scenario, and the very new challenging yet interesting air pollution phenomenon happening in this area called wintertime ozone pollution. This is the location of Uinta Basin, located northeast of Utah. Hopefully you can see the small tiny red dot here. And this map shows the terrain height of the area. So you could see that we have almost perfect bowl-shaped terrain. This is the ideal condition for a long persistent inversion layer to occur in the area. And we also have a lot of oil and gas activity happening in the basin. The blue dot and the pink dot here show the location of oil and gas well. The bigger black dot is just the location of a major town in the basin, and the red dots indicate many different meteorological and air quality stations throughout the basin. So the long persistent inversion happening when we have enough snow on the ground combined with the emission of volatile organic compounds from oil and gas activity in the basin lead to wintertime ozone pollution. So this graph shows the time series of daily maximum 8-hour average ozone concentration monitored at different sites in the basin, represented by different color line. And this dashed red line indicates national standard of ozone concentration, which is 70 ppb. And the data was recorded since 2009 up until this year. Depending on whether that winter we have enough snow on the ground to build the long persistent inversion, then we have very high ozone concentration. Some winter, the ozone concentration can raise up almost like 140 ppb. So this study is the joint effort among different stakeholders, including EPA, BLM, Utah's Department of Air Quality, the participation of industry, and also the tribe and Utah State University trying to provide more understanding of the emission from oil and gas facility, and which is still remain with a lot of uncertainty, leading to challenging issue for 3D photochemical model to be used as policy making. We also try to, for this study also is our try to investigate different emission detection approaches. So we use thermal FLIR GF 320 camera to detect emission from oil and gas activity from different view angle, one from helicopter, and we also use the same camera, but we use personnel to use it on the ground-based level, and then we compare the two. The result from this study will help to identify where we can see the emission and whether we suspect it as a leak or just a regulated emission. Then we can inform the industry to come and fix things, and also the result of the study also help the following study to make a wide sampling plan to improve emission inventory. These two, the video that I am bringing here to show you an example of what we get from the camera. And this video show the view from helicopter, and this is the view of the control propellant release. We use control propellant release to identify the detection limit of the camera viewing from helicopter and ground base. So it's quite hard to see here. This is the plume that we see from helicopter of the control release. And in the helicopter we only can operate the camera in the auto mode, which you see is quite like a real picture, a black and white picture here. However, in the ground base, this is the video from the ground base level of the same control release. You could see the plume easily here, and the ground base camera operator can hold the camera still as long as he or she wants and operate the camera into different modes. This is the auto mode, and sometimes depending on the background, whether it's white or black, then you can switch it to high sensitivity mode like this, then you can see the plume. So, but again, for the aerial-based camera, you can do that because the helicopter moves continuously, leading to too much noise for the camera to be operated in the high sensitivity mode. So, based on the same propellant release, we found that with the same camera, but if you operate it at the ground base level, then the detection limit is at least 10 times higher than the same camera that operated on the helicopter. So this is the picture that was taken from the same video, and it showed the plume in auto mode of the helicopter camera. And this is the plume in auto mode viewing from the ground-based camera. It's hard to see because the background was too dark, and then you can switch to high sensitivity mode, and you see the plume clearly here. And our camera operator was also trained to qualitatively estimate the plume in different size, small, medium, or large. Because of the detection limit was much higher in the ground-based camera, then it leads to like ground-based detected more emission than aerial survey, looking at the same amount, the same data set of the well and gas pad. So I have to mention that the aerial-based camera survey was conducted in about 2 weeks later, February, early March. And ground survey was conducted at the same time on the same well pad, and then another following up survey came back in April and May with the ground-based camera only. And the blue column here shows the number of pads that we visited with the aerial camera and ground camera. The red column indicates the number of pads that we see emission. So the advantage of helicopter is that it helps us to cover very large amount of surveys units. However, the detection was not that good. Therefore, among those more than 3,000 well paths that we visited, we only see 16 paths with emission. While ground-based camera, we will be able to cover only around 400 paths, but we see more than 30% of them have emission. Both aerial and ground survey agree on that most of the emission source were from liquid storage tanks facility, including tip hatch, pressure relief valves, and tank vent pipes. Those are equipment to control the pressure in the pipe and in the tanks. And again, because having higher detection limit, ground-based data, ground-based camera will be able to distinguish more different emission sources than aerial-based camera. We look at how well path characteristics affect emission detection, we found that more emissions are detected at well paths with higher oil and gas production. The blue column is the aerial survey data, and the orange is the ground survey data, and the y-axis show the oil production and gas production. If you look at the path that have emission, it related to the well that have more oil production than the data average over the whole data set. Same here with gas well, more high production than the whole data set. And the ground survey agree with the aerial survey on this conclusion. We also found that more emission were detected at paths that have younger wells. So this y-axis show the path age, and we do the same calculation on the path that we see emission and the whole data set. And you can see here the path with emission correlate well with the younger path. And we see more emission on the path that have more tanks and the path that surprisingly have control unit on it. And we look at the control path with the control unit, we see more emission than the whole data set. This is the ground-based survey data. And we also compare with the previous study also look at only unit with path with control unit. We see a little higher because of the different camera that we use. The path that with control unit only tend to relate it with the larger plume than smaller roof plume. Ground-based emission detection would better at calm, warm, sunny condition. Higher wind speed dilute the plume, so it's harder to detect. However, those coloration is not hold true for the whole data set, mostly at a certain range. And the detection was better at a sunny than cloudy condition. Dr. Ravi Kumar also showed that aerial-based data emission detection were better in warmer weather, where he looked at apparent temperature differences between ambient air and ground-based air, and the data show that for the same apparent differences, up to 2 times higher detection limit in winter compared to summer. Because of a time limit, so I think I'm going to skip some of the slide. We compare the cost of aerial-based and ground-based camera survey, and with the total cost of aerial-based $35,000, while ground-based $21,000. And if we divide those amount dollar on path that we visited, then the aerial-based seems to be a little lower cost. However, if we look at the path with emission, it weighs more expensive than ground-based. So the main conclusion here is that if we use IR camera, to me the ground-based survey provide more efficiency of the result in terms of detection and also cost economic efficiency. Thank you.
One quick question? Yes, David.
Yeah, can you say that